close. Hello, I think I'm live now. I've not done a live for absolutely ages, so I'm a little bit nervous about doing this because, like I said, I've never done a live for so long, so I'm just a little bit nervous. I'm trying to fix the camera now because I don't know how to do the camera. I don't normally sit here when I do them either, so this is another little bit of a thing, because I don't normally sit here when I do them. I'm a little bit nervous about doing it, but welcome. Let me just fix the camera. I'm like that, checking I look okay now, because like I said, I've not done a live for so long. I've got my laptop next to me, so I'm not being rude. I'm going to be reading things off a laptop because I've wrote notes out. So I'm going to be reading the notes off the laptop. So if I keep looking this way, it's just because I'm reading notes out on the laptop. So I will be looking that way a little bit to read notes out on the laptop, and then I'll obviously be looking back at the camera to look at yourselves. But it was just a bit easier for me to make sure that I had notes. So I'm kind of going to like be reading notes, and then I will look this way, and then I will read a little bit more notes. So if you think I'm not looking, I am looking, and I am listening to you all. And I'll try and like read some of the questions, but I'll probably like answer them at the end, if I can work out how to get the questions. But feel free to ask the questions anyway as we go along, but I'm kind of just going to like read through my notes first, and then I'll try and answer any questions you've got at the end, if that's okay for everybody. It's just easier if I just kind of like read through what I've got, because I know that I've got it there ready to read, and then obviously the live will save at the end anyway, and then you can rewatch the video back, and then I can just comment on the questions at the end like that. So I think we'll just get started in a minute. What I'm going to do, like I said, is I'm just going to kind of read through what I've got wrote, because I've made all my notes and my details are all right here ready for me. I did that because it's just a lot easier for me. If I just kind of went into it, I'd just probably go on a full tangent and just kind of randomly tell you loads of random stuff. And I just thought it's much easier if I just kind of write things down. So like I said, it's going to be a bit of a life and a health update. We've not done a live for a long time, and I've not really spoke about my health before. I know that some of you that have been on the channel for a while will know that I've got some health conditions, but I've never really spoke a lot about my health conditions. I've spoke a little bit about my health conditions in passing over the years, but I've never really spoke about them in detail. So I thought it would be a good video to kind of like talk about my health conditions. The list has kind of been ever growing over the last few years. And I thought this would be a good way to kind of talk about my health conditions. So thank you everyone for joining. If you've just joined, like I said, I've got my laptop here, so I'm just kind of reading off my laptop, so I'm not being rude if I'm not looking at you all. I'm reading off my laptop. So at this time, at this moment, I've actually been medically retired from my job as a teaching assistant. That happened in February this year. I was off work from June last year following a medical incident, which led to me being in 2 different hospitals. The doctors thought that I'd actually had a stroke, but after lots of scans and lots of tests, they found that I had a different medical condition that was quite new to me, and I'd never heard of it. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But this new condition, coupled with all my existing conditions, put me in a place where it was very hard for me to go back to work. I did fight really hard to go back to work because I wanted to go back to work. Like, I'm not that type of person that wants to be at home and do nothing. I hate that. I've never been that type of person. I really want to work. But my employer was quite cautious of me going back to work because of my job working with children and my conditions that I had. And in the end, occupational health said that I wasn't fit for work for the foreseeable future. My employer had concerns because they'd seen how poorly I was last time I was in hospital, and they now said that this new condition was just too much. That was really hard for me to be told that I can't go back to the job that I love. Like, I loved my job as a teaching assistant. That was like everything to me. I'd been there for over 10 years. It was coming up to 11 years in March, so I retired in February and it was March. I worked there for 10 years at the same school, and before that I was a nursery nurse in nursery, so it's working with children was just like everything I'd ever known. So it was really, really hard for me coming to terms with that. So it's been toughest to like, where do I fit without a job? Like it had been everything I've known since I was 17. I've worked literally full time since I was 17 years old. My mental health literally hit rock bottom at times, and I didn't think I was going to get it back up again. It was the lowest I've ever felt. I have Aunt and Matilda to thank for getting me through that. I'm working a lot of it out now with a psychologist. She's getting me through and getting the help I need. Life's still really hard, but I know that I just try my best and try and get through every day as I can. I'll go through my health conditions now and explain them. I think that's what a lot of people want to go. I'm not having cancer treatment. Someone's just commented with cancer treatment. I'm not having cancer treatment. I'm not sure where that came from. So my health conditions, I'm not sure who this person is commenting, very random. So 5 years ago, I was in a car crash with Matilda, my daughter, and I was hit in a lorry. I've got a bit confused now because this person's kind of confused me. I was in a car crash with Matilda, my daughter, and it was a lorry, and it hit on Matilda's side on our way to school and work. It wasn't like a really bad crash, but it was the first car crash that I'd ever had. I don't know if some of you know, but I actually had IVF with Matilda. So we had IVF, and she was our third try at IVF. I'm trying to remember that. She was our third try at IVF. So she was like a miracle baby. So the emotional side of like having a car crash, when you've got your child in the car with you and the car hits on her side, obviously is just like soul destroying. You want to know if your child's okay, you're concerned about everything, and I just kind of forgot all about my feelings and how I felt, and I was just solely focused on her. So at the time I didn't feel too bad. I sprained, I think it was my wrist and my thumb all here, because of that I'd gripped the steering wheel so tight that I'd like pulled all the ligaments in my wrist and my thumb, because obviously I was trying to protect us. I just kind of like gripped the steering wheel so tight, and I jarred all my back. So that was kind of what happened to us in that. But 2 years previous to that, I had a disc bulge in my spine, and I got that bad that I couldn't feel my foot, so I had to have a discectomy. So obviously then having the car crash, that kind of sent my body into overdrive. So my first health condition that I've had since the car crash is fibromyalgia. So it's getting more well known now, fibromyalgia. It wasn't a very well known condition when I first got diagnosed with it. Not many people that I worked with knew anything about it. So after the car crash, well, probably about 6 months after the car crash, so Ant is here helping me because I get brain fog a lot and forget things. So he is here helping me. He's just kind of on the sidelines a little bit. About 6 months after the car crash, I started with what's called widespread pain. So basically all over my body, I started with pain, and it's not just like a bit of pain, like, oh, I've got a bit of pain, or I've hurt my leg, or I've got a bit of a pain. It's like severe pain. So I had severe pain everywhere, and that is like every day. Like every day I am in pain. It doesn't go away. I wake up in pain. I go to bed in pain. And that is constant. I'm constantly in pain every day. That is part of my life now. It's just being in pain all the time. Hi, thank you for joining. So like I said, fibromyalgia is a big thing for me. That like dominates a lot of my life, having fibromyalgia. It's pain all the time. It's chronic pain. It's constant, doesn't go away. And then it also causes a lovely thing called brain fog, or fibro fog as we call it, which means that I forget things a lot of the time. I forget words, I forget where I am, I forget sentences, I just call everything a thing. Matilda thinks it's hilarious because I'm like, oh, what's that thing, you know, that thing that comes from the thing in the thing in the thing. But luckily Aunt and Matilda have adapted to my thing and just kind of now know what I'm trying to say, and they just get what I want, or just kind of know what the thing is, and it just kind of works. coupled with fibromyalgia, at the same time I got that, I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome, or what's called ME. I think it used to be called ME years ago, but it's more widely recognised now as chronic fatigue syndrome. And that is not just being tired, it's literally exhaustion. It's extreme tiredness, exhaustion, trouble sleeping. I can go to sleep fine, but then I wake up in the night, and then I wake up in the morning, and no matter how many hours sleep I've had, I'm still exhausted as if I've not slept at all in the night. And that is literally what chronic fatigue is. It's just exhaustion all the time. No matter how much sleep you've had, you're never fulfilled. You don't feel like you've been to sleep. You don't feel like you've rested. It's awful. I have to laugh, because if I don't laugh, I'd just cry my whole way through this video, and I'm trying not to cry through this video because I don't want to cry. Then going back to when I said I will come back to this new condition that I got diagnosed with in hospital when I was from work. I got diagnosed with something that I'd never heard of in my life before, and it's called functional neurological disorder, or they call it FND for short. So functional neurological disorder is actually a neurological condition that affects my I can't say the word, that affects my neurological condition, that affects my, oh my gosh, that affects my nervous system. And so I have functional seizures without any warning. I have functional limb weakness, which is why they thought I had a stroke the first time round. So functional limb weakness is like my arm or my leg will just go completely numb. I get tics, twitches, drop attacks, trouble concentrating, wake up in the night, things like that. I'm sure there's a lot more that are coupled with functional neurological disorder, but I don't really know, because it's quite new and I'm still learning about it. Functional neurological disorder is always what's called like an umbrella condition. So a lot of things like fibromyalgia and things link into it, and a lot of my other conditions like IBS and things also link into that. So you'll see as I go along that a lot of them like are what's called umbrella conditions, so they all link together. Another recent condition that was literally only diagnosed like a couple of weeks ago or something, I think, is called postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. You'll probably know it better as POTS. Everybody knows it as POTS, which basically causes my heart rate to rise rapidly when I stand up, which obviously makes me feel very, very dizzy, makes me feel sick. Sometimes I can faint. I get like palpitations in my chest, where I can feel my chest going like this and palpitating when it's really, really, really bad. That's generally when like I'm out and it's hot. So the heat really, really affects it. So if I stand up and I'm in the heat, or I've been stood up for too long and it's hot, then that's when it starts, and I get really dizzy, I get really sick, and I faint. So that's really, really not a nice condition. Then coupled with that, about 2 weeks after that, I got diagnosed with hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So I had heard of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome because I actually looked after a child once that had Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, but I never knew it was kind of more of a spectrum. So I had hypermobility as a child. I've always been diagnosed with hypermobility, and I just knew it was like, oh, I'm hypermobile, I can do loads of things, I can be fantastic. I was a great gymnast when I was a child. Then my mum stopped taking me because my joints got really sore. But my GP mentioned it to me because of all my other conditions. She said it's Laura, it's a umbrella condition. I think you might have this. I think we should test you for it. Now you've been diagnosed, I've tested you for POTS and you've got that. I think you might have this. So she tested me and said she wasn't quite sure, so sent me to a consultant. It was like a rheumatology, and they did the testing on me, and he basically said you've got a genetic mutation, which I thought was quite funny. And it's basically not just about being hypermobile, it's all the things that come with it. So it was like joint pain, fatigue, dizziness, your joints popping out of place. It was like all different things, like having like really stretchy skin, having like soft skin, all different things like that have to link into it for it to be a diagnosis of hypermobile and then Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And I passed the test with a very high score. And again, that's an umbrella condition. And my knees are really bad. That's my worst point of my joints, so my joints move around so much in my knees, you can physically see them moving. They're dreadful. That's why I have so much pain in my knees. Then I have lumbar and cervical disc degeneration. So lumbar is my lower spine, cervical is like my neck here. So basically the discs in my spine are, the water is like shrinking in them or something, I don't know. And I've actually got more bulges on the bottom of my spine, haven't I? They found that out last year when they did the scans when they thought I had a stroke. So bulges have come back as well. Sorry, I'm really itchy and fidgety at the minute. I'm not very good at sitting still. Yeah, so that wasn't very good. So even though I had my disectomy, I'm still in like a lot of pain in my lower back and in my neck, and then my neck's really hard to sleep with because I have the pain in my neck here because of the cervical degeneration. When I sleep, it's like trying to get in a good position, and then I get a lot of pain down my arm here because of where I'm sleeping, because the thing here on my neck where the degeneration is, it's cutting off the thing, so then I get the pain all down my arm here, which is really hard. It's really painful. And then as well as that, I have like a few little other bits of things. Oh, sorry, the other main thing I have is complex PTSD. So I got diagnosed last year with complex PTSD after I started seeing a psychologist, because of a lot of other problems I was having. So this came from a few things. I had a very traumatic birth with Matilda. After 3 rounds of IVF, I ended up in intensive care. And I ended up fighting for my life. Basically, I nearly died. So I had two car crashes as well, and a few things early on in life. So I'm still suffering with this, and I always will do, but I'm working through my traumas as best I can. I'm still seeing my psychologist, and she's working through these things with me, but obviously it's really, really hard. PTSD is not one of those things to kind of brush under the carpet. It's very, very hard to go through. I didn't think that I actually had complex PTSD. I just thought it was just traumas. You know, I knew I had trauma from birth. I knew I had trauma from car crash, but I didn't think it was anything like that. But it's really hard. It's a really hard subject, and it's really taken a lot of things out of me. But it's been difficult, and like I said, I'm going through it with my psychologist now, and we are getting there, and I'm working through the traumas as best as I can. It will always be with me. They're never going to go away, and I'm always going to struggle with it. And especially the car crashes, it's like when I go out and I hear like tires screeching and loud noises and things like that really, really bothers me. But it's just trying to work through it. Like I don't drive anymore because of it, but we're getting there. And then I also have, these are just like linked in, like IBS like obviously causes digestion problems, bloating. I have Raynaud's. My hands get very, very cold in the winter, and my feet. I have something called Barrett's esophagus, which I have a hiatus hernia, so sometimes I struggle swallowing food and things get stuck. And then I have a prolapsed bladder. That was something that I found out recently, which means that's why I need to go to the toilet a lot, which is really hard. So that's the end of kind of my conditions and a little bit about them. I'll kind of go through about how they affect me, because I haven't really talked about how they affect me. Sorry, I'm kind of getting sidetracked. It's really hard. I feel like I'm just talking about everything really, really fast, and it kind of hits you when you talk about it so fast, but I don't want to like stop because I don't want to get myself upset, which is really, really hard. But then it's really hard because this is obviously your life, and you talking about your life, and it's really, really hard. So I struggle with walking, and I have to take a lot of breaks when I'm walking. I think sometimes on the videos it doesn't show that because you just obviously see like snippets of bits. So I'll be like, oh, we're here now and we're doing this now. oh, we're doing this now, but really on the videos that, like on our vlogs and things that we do, I'm not constantly walking all day. Like, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I'm in pain all the time, and you don't see that because I don't like to show that on the camera. Maybe I should show more of that so that people that do have these conditions can see that you know, I'm maybe more relatable to them. But then sometimes I don't want to show that because like, it's embarrassing, to be honest. It's embarrassing. I don't want people to see that I'm in pain and I'm tired and I'm upset and like how poorly I look. I want you to see that I'm okay, and that, like, you know, we're good at what we do, and that we can go to these places, and that we can video them, and that we can do a good job. But really, maybe I should like be showing you the other side, and I probably do a little bit. Sometimes I do show that I'm sat down, but I don't show it all the time. I also do have a walking stick. I do use that a lot, and again, I don't show that on camera because, again, I get embarrassed with it. I always have it in the car with me when we go out places. Sometimes it stays in the car if we're not going very far. Sometimes it does come out the car. It also depends on like how I'm feeling on every day. Like, every day is different. Like, some days I feel like I can manage without the walking stick and I can just hold on to Aunt and Matilda if I need to, if it gets too much. Some days it depends where we're going. Is there going to be a lot of benches to sit down on? I have to plan everything. I have to plan, is there going to be benches to sit down on? Is there going to be toilets nearby? What's it going to be like when we get there? What's the weather going to be like? What am I going to need to wear? Like, everything is like a plan. Everything has to be executed constantly all the time when you go to places. When we've been to Alton Towers, I had to rent an electric scooter, which is not something that I ever thought I'd have to do. But Alton Towers, if you've ever been, it's really, really big. Alton Towers is massive, and I couldn't walk all the way around Alton Towers without doing that. It got to the point where it was impossible. I was in so much pain, I was in tears, and the day just wasn't enjoyable. So we decided that if that was what it took for me to get round, then why not do that? Because I can then enjoy the day. We're not having to worry about anything. If it meant that renting that mobility scooter meant that I got round that day and we enjoyed ourselves as a family, then why not do that? And yes, I felt embarrassed, but I started to realise that that meant we could do that as a family. And I didn't want it to take, like, these conditions have taken so much of my life away from me, and I don't want them to take any more. So I have started to see things in a little bit of a different light. Even though I'm still embarrassed about it, I'm starting to realise that I need to do what's best for me and my family. I'm not making this video for sympathy. I just kind of wanted to make it so that other people knew. Most of these symptoms get misdiagnosed, and I also want people to know that this is what my life is like behind the camera. I want people to see like that this is like the real, not the real me, but this is kind of like what it's like. This is how I live every day. So I'm now earning a pension because I got medically retired. So my pension is unfortunately half of my wage. So it's not a lot. We don't qualify for any benefits due to Ant's wage. It isn't huge, but it just puts us just over the threshold. As part of my pension, I got a little bit of money with that, so we chose to use that to spend on holidays and get them done. I kind of have a bit of a thing where I feel like my health has got worse, and I feel like I don't want to end up where I can't get to places and explore places because of my health. Obviously, like I said, I will always do what's best, and if it means going in a mobility scooter doing that, then that's what we'll do. But I don't want to get to that point that I can't go to places. So yes, we are having holidays while we can. I mean, we've only been to Dubai this year. We have only had one holiday. We did buy DVC. I don't think we've spoken about that, but we did buy into Disney's David. Told you my brain is gone now. We did buy into Disney's Vacation Club. We made that decision that for our family, that was a good choice for us. So we bought DVC last year when we were on the cruise in 2024. We own at Riviera. So we're not doing it because we're going to go to Florida every year, but we do want to go to Florida. We love Disney. We love Florida. We want to get to California. At some point, that's planned for next year, isn't it? After our Panama Canal trip, our Panama Canal cruise, we're going to end it in San Diego, and then we're going to travel to where is it in at Los Angeles, that's it, LA, and then we're going to do California Disney and use our points there. So we knew we had these things coming up. We want to go to Alani, we can use our points there. And then the years that we're not using them, we've rented them. So we've rented the points out, saved the money from that, and used that to pay for our other holidays. So it's just worked out perfect for us. If we don't use them, we rent them, use those, save that money and put it towards something else. So our next holiday is actually the Transatlantic. It's called Westbound, is it? Westbound Transatlantic. So that is actually in November this year. So that is why we're lucky that we can now do it, because now I'm not working in a school. I've always been restricted to school holidays for like the last nearly 11 years. So we are going on the Westbound Transatlantic in November. It goes from Southampton to Port Canaveral. We are taking Matilda out of school. We've never taken Matilda out of school before. This is the first time we've taken her out, so we do expect that we are going to get fined. But I'm just at the point now where my health is more important than taking her out of school for 2 weeks. I just feel like I'd rather take her out, have a holiday. And Matilda actually turns 13 in October. Yeah, we've spoken to school. We've told them they've agreed. They've not agreed it's okay, but we told them as soon as we booked it, this is what we were doing. We've been up front and honest with them from the beginning. And then when we get off in Port Canaveral, we are doing one night at Endless Summer. We loved it when we stayed there before, and we're doing Epic Universe the day after. So Matilda's very excited to do Epic Universe because we haven't done Epic Universe yet. Oh, the same day, sorry. Yeah, we're literally going to get off the cruise on the Sunday and go straight to Endless Summer and do Epic Universe, yeah, the same day. So like I said, it's like kind of like not a birthday present for Matilda, but it was a big thing, and it coincides with Matilda's 13th birthday. So she'll be turning a teenager, doing a transatlantic cruise, going to Epic Universe, and then we do actually have a little bit after that, but that's going to be kept a surprise for now because Matilda doesn't know what we're doing after that. She actually thinks we're flying home, but she can't hear me at the minute because she's upstairs in the bedroom. So there is a little bit else coming after that, but that's a bit of a surprise. So I'm going to end it there because I feel a bit happier now because I'm talking about holidays and I've not depressed myself too much. I'm just going to quickly read. Honestly, you're doing Bumblebee. Honestly, you're doing amazing. I have ME but struggle to talk about it. I feel so glad to see you talking about this on here and informing the people about your real life. It sounds like the perfect trip for a holiday for you guys. Oh, Bumblebee, thank you so much. And I do think it is really hard. Like, I've really struggled to like think about it and talk about it. It's not like an easy thing to talk about. You are right. It is really, really hard talking about your health conditions. I just felt like now was the time to do it because I've had a lot of change. Like I said, over the last year, I've been medically retired from my job, and I feel like a lot of people can maybe start to tell that things are different with me maybe in the videos and things. I just wanted to inform people that this is what's been happening and there is going to be a bit of a change, and especially with certain things that have been happening in my life. And like I say, it's been hard having I've obviously been having seizures from the functional neurological disorder. It means I've actually been having seizures and things, and a lot of my life has changed. I just feel like it was about time to let people know what's been happening. But thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. And I'm all with my inboxes. Our inbox is always open. We are on Instagram. So you can always give me a message. I'll always reply if you need any help or support. I'm always there to help other people. It is a big thing when you like basically I've been classed as disabled now, which is really, really hard to come to terms with being classed as disabled. Like I'm 38 and I'm classed as disabled and medically retired. Like I never ever thought that at 38 I'd be classed as disabled and medically retired from work, but that's the life that I was given, and this is what the life that I've got to live now. But thank you for watching, everybody. If you got this far, I really appreciate it. As if you've got any comments, you can please leave them below and I will get around to replying to them as I can. I'm now going to try and watch something nice on TV to cheer myself up. Any recommendations, please leave them below as well on TV choices. We're struggling at the minute. But I hope that we just gave you a little bit of information into what's been happening in my life at the moment. I am on a lot of medication as well for all these things. I didn't think... Oh, another thing actually is chronic migraines. I suffer with chronic migraines. That's what my other medication for is, chronic migraines. I'm waiting for injections into my head to sort that, but there's lovely NHS has a very big waiting list. But I do suffer with chronic migraines, so I'm waiting for some like injections into my head here to sort that out, because chronic migraines is just an absolute pain when you're suffering with migraines, and it's awful. So I'm going to let everybody go now, but like I said, thank you for watching, and that's it now. It's bye for now from me.